Yeah, assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I wanted to get this information out because Ramadan is around, is actually is here, but you may look at it after it's gone. So it's to encourage you. And that's what Muslims fast for 29 to 30 days for the sake of Allah. And this is just, I'm going to make some videos and about Islam, and this is not to convert anyone. And people that know about Islam, not expert, but you know what, I'm giving dawah, and you can use this for in the future. You can use this for case study. These are some videos that I have done on Islam. And like I said, Ramadan, I encourage the people that's going through it to go ahead. You can do it. Those that are struggling, can't do it, you feel like you can't, feed somebody. Assalamu alaikum.
Subhanallah, we thank you, Allah, we praise you, Allah.
Greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum. My name is Clifton Raheem Bradley, host of the Underground Railroad television show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m., not a.m. And you could catch us on YouTube, damn it, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm shaking my head like I'm doing something. I ain't doing nothing. But you know what? I got today Islam. We're going to talk about Islam because as a Muslim, that is my duty. That is my duty to propagate Islam and make Islam. And I got Brother Tyrone Perry of the Flaming Crescent Society, and the leader is Brother Salim. And Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
All right. And you know what? Please make an introduction of yourself, please,
Okay.
brother.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm Minister Tyrone Perry of the Flaming Crescent Society, and I'm just a proud Muslim trying to get myself into paradise, you know, to help that black community out as much as I can, and particularly with the youth, you know. That's who I really particularly want to try to influence and get them on the right path, you know.
You got anything? I want to ask you something. You know what, man? There's a virus going on, but I want to ask you something. You don't have to comment if you don't want to. You know what's funny to me? People used to say that Muslim women were oppressed because they're covered up. They got the niqab on. But you know what's funny to me? They want the niqab now. By putting their mask on during the virus. Why are they being oppressed? It's funny to me.
It's kind of like the same thing, right? Well, even though the women in Islam not forced to do nothing like that, you know, that's only they do that on their own free will. You don't have to do that if you don't. But
okay,
with this virus, they making it a mandate.
Yeah. So you know what? You thought it was funny about an Islamic woman covering up some of y'all with the niqab. But you know what? Look, you're doing the same thing. But you know what? It ain't about us. It's about Allah's permission. I want to ask you something, brother. And then I'm going to play a video, and I want you to comment on. I want to ask you, brother.
Yes, sir.
About Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Joe Biden pulling the troops out of Afghanistan and letting more Muslims come into the country, which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said we'd be separated among sects, but at some point we would be a ummah. But let me shut my mouth and get your perspective. And for me, it's a clap for Joe Biden, but it ain't about what I'm here to interview you.
Right. Well, I ain't gonna clap for Joe Biden too quick, but him taking the troops out of Afghanistan, and that was I appreciate. That's a good move right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and giving sanctuary to them here. I'm good with that, but I'm cautious, you know, because they coming from another country. They could look sideways to the American people, like, you know. yeah, y'all letting us come over here now, but y'all been at war killing our people for over 20 years, you know?
You know how it's going to end anyway. Right?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say how it's going to end, but go ahead.
And see that, like him, I applaud him for pulling the troops out, but letting them come over here, even though they Muslim, and I want to see what's best for them, you know? But like, you giving them asylum over here, and there's a lot of people, there's people here already in this country that's going through some stuff, and you giving them this free money, and it's people that already been here that you overlook. Well,
I have to follow up with a question. So are you saying that is it justified to give sanctuary money to people that come in from Mexico and Central America from the other side of the hemisphere?
No.
And just say, forget the Muslims, I'm asking.
No.
I'm asking.
It's if you're going to do it, you got to be fair with everybody, you know. And when I mean fair, you got to be fair with the people that's already here. Not no immigrants or anything like that. You got people that's American citizens that's suffering. What about them? It's like they take precedent over the people that's already here that's suffering.
So the Muslims should not get it. I'm asking.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying be fair about what you do.
Okay. And
President Biden.
You know what? We're going to talk about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a video there about him foretelling what is going to go on in the signs of Yom Kippur, which means the day of judgment, in the dunya, which means earth. And I'm going to have Brother Tyrone give us his expertise and his wisdom. Okay, but there's a video. And half of it is going to be played, and then the other half will be played later on. So if you could play that half of it, and I want you to see it because I sent it to you. And you know what's strange? See what I mean, brother? Oh, do later.
They had to stop recording the video, but continue talking.
Okay, so you know what, like I say, that, you know what, it's strange, you know, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made very predictions, and it's coming, you know, it's true.
And let the people know, like, you know, what he said, it wasn't from his own thing, you know, this was from Allah that let him, you know, gave this to him, these instructions. So anything that he prophesied or told about the forecome, that was from Allah.
Yes.
Because he's the all-knowing, you know.
Okay, and you know what? One prediction that he made, not prediction, what he said, is that one of the signs is that men will start acting like women, and women will start acting like men, and men will start resembling women, and men, and vice versa. Do you find that to be true?
Oh yes, and this been in the fort for years. Like, we just starting to see a lot of it now, but this has been happening years ago, you know. And with the foods that we eat, it like young girls getting in the menstrual cycle earlier than, like, when I was coming up, the young ladies got on their period when they was 12 years old, like that's 12, 13, the teenage. Now you getting the young girls, they starting their periods at 8, 9 years old.
They menstruation.
Now you got to ask yourself, what changed for them to start having their menstrual cycle so early? You know? So you got to think about the foods that they eat, the chemicals that's put in these foods.
Let me see if is that video ready back there, Elma?
No.
Okay.
Continue talking.
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, again, women that are childbearing age, they would negate the joy of having a child for later ages because of the opportunities that exist in the dunya on this earth. Do you find that to be true, and why?
Oh yeah, definitely that's true. And I give that credit to the feminist movement. See, in my opinion, the feminist movement told, particularly the African American females, that you don't need no man. You could do all this stuff on your own. So they was providing better education. Well, they wasn't providing it. Women was getting better education and getting better jobs than men. And they was like, you don't need no man. You don't need no man to provide for you. You could do all this stuff on your own. So they pretty much blocked the man out and like, I don't need no man. Well, how you gonna have a child if you don't have a man? So you done got in love with this material stuff in this world.
Yeah.
So you were like, I knew some women, they were selfish to the point where like, I don't want to have no kids because the money that I got to have fun and do stuff with, I have to use it for them. Women used to say stuff like that, not to have children.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that we would stop, with men in Islam, they would start building mosques. Not specifically for the religion, to show off how grand it is and how much money their community has out of pride and boasting. But do you find that to be true, what Prophet Muhammad said?
Yeah. It's funny you brought that one up because a brother of mine, he was a Muslim brother, he was like, shoot, the masjid is starting to be like the church on Sunday, you done left the true reason of this deen. You done let the world change your way of thinking about what this is all about. You want to be, like you said, building a bigger mosque than anybody. I want to have the biggest mosque than this person right here. That's where your ego come into this. So more you doing stuff like that, the farther and farther you getting away from the deen, because that ain't what you don't build a mosque so big and say, I got the biggest masjid. What you doing to help the people?
In the end times, people will dance late into the night. Muslim men will resemble unbelieving men. Muslims will slowly, but deeply, appropriate the traditions and ways of the Christians. Believers turn into unbelievers and will sell their religion for non-essential things of this world. Women who will be dressed, yet will appear to be naked. They will seduce men and will be inclined towards them. With something on their heads that looks like the humps of camels, leaning to one side.
Clothed but unclothed. Some of the swimwear, if you look at, or some of the gym wear, if you look at, like who are you? It's not clothing. Kasiyatun ariyat, clothed but naked. Or if you look a more moderate tafsir, if you like, clothing will be very tight, or it will be see-through, or there will be cuts and slits around the sides and so on and so forth, so that although it pretends it doesn't show, it shows. And the Prophet said, alayhi afdalu salatu wa atammu taslim, that they will not smell the fragrance of Jannah. Although the smell of Jannah can come from so far, yet these people will be made forbidden for them is that smell, that fragrance of Jannah.
People will walk in the marketplace with their thighs exposed. This sign is very obvious, especially in Western countries. Keep in mind, these events are very recent. Just 100 years ago, even in these countries, the women wore modest clothes. The Prophet said, most certainly people from my nation will consume liquor, which they will describe with some other name. This is a prediction and a reference to the different brands of alcohol that are available today.
Liquor stores are strewn throughout the city of Iman. By law, bars and liquor stores must be owned and run by Christians. No Muslims allowed. However, Muslims are perfectly free to patronize them, and they do.
Our customers are both Christians and Muslims. We don't really have problems here.
There will be many women of childbearing age who will no longer give birth.
Women continue to delay having children, according to new data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The average age for first-time mothers increased from 24 in 2000 to 26 in 2014.
The Prophet said these women will enter the workforce out of love for this world. And this is why they will delay having children.
Researchers believe the trend of waiting to have children will continue as more women focus on career before starting a family and as they pursue fertility options like egg freezing.
In the end times, there will be snubbing and standoffishness among people. There will be an abundance of food, much of which has no blessing in it. This is clearly a reference to fast food, which has absolutely no nutritional value. Wealth will increase so much, so that if a man were given 10,000, he would not be content with it. But the wealth will be shared out only among the rich, with no benefit to the poor. The rich will get richer and richer. Today, the top 1% wealthy people have half of all the wealth in the world. Western corporations are plundering developing countries. The decoration of mosques will be a matter of pride and competition.
Yes.
You know, it's all this money you spending to build this gigantic masjid. You could be helping the poor people, the homeless people, you know.
You know, I'm a little deterred, man. And then you know what? But you know what? About that video, because you know what? But you know what? No, but Allah knows.
Who's best, Noah?
What's best. And you know, I find it like when I do shows on Islam, and I'm talking about something trying to propagate. I believe that there's an enemy, and the enemy is always the shaitan.
Yes.
Working to disturb something, and the devil is using somebody else as agents. Maybe before we came in here, I have to. But you know what? But they can't stop the will of Allah.
No.
So, you know, and you know what? We're going to go ahead and do it like this then, okay? Because you know what? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that women will appear to look fashionable, dressing showing their legs and thighs and breasts, okay, and almost be naked, and that is a sign. Well, do you agree with that, and is that going on?
Oh, yes, sir. You know, that was one of our deep that women will be dressed but appear to be naked.
Yes.
You know, they will have clothes on but will look naked. And what you see, half-dressed women, these videos, particularly these rap videos, just a top and a small bottom on, like your underwear. Basically, you wearing underwear out in public. Underwear was something that you wore under your clothes, right? That's why it was called underwear.
It was a time where a woman wouldn't even want to put her bloomers on the clothesline before they had dryers. But go ahead.
Now underwear is becoming outerwear. That's what done happen. So you think you got your clothes on, but you're naked. Because see, at one point in time, you wouldn't come outside with your underwear.
Yeah.
Your underwear was always meant to stay inside for no one to see. You didn't want nobody to see you in your underwear.
You know what's fun? You know what's always been funny to me? Women walking with them little heels, man, and you know what? And they could barely walk. And you know what? I asked my cousin once. I said, "Why you got that on?" She said, "I'm a woman." He said, "It looks sexy." I didn't understand. You got a shoe with a heel like this, and you could barely walk and need me to hold you up.
One thing,
it's funny to me.
What you just said, she said it looks sexy. Looks sexy to who? Like, who you trying to please with this? Like, you said it looks sexy. Okay, you trying to draw a man or something like that? Did he tell you it looks sexy? Because if he didn't tell you it looks sexy, what makes you think it looks sexy? Because you see, if you're trying to what? Impress another female or something like that, or you trying to impress a man or something like that? Now that man got to tell you, oh, that looks sexy, for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna wear this for him.
I'd like to ask you a question. This is dealing with marriage. Marriage is half of your deen in Islam. And can you explain what deen is and why is it important in Islam to be married?
The deen is the way, basically the way of life, the way a Muslim should conduct itself in his society. Marriage is if you want to start a family, marriage, having kids out of wedlock, and I done seen this, and it is an exception to every rule, but me growing up, I had my mother and father in the house with me all my life. I never knew nothing else. No other man, no other woman, but my mother and my father. Now, some of the people I grew up with who didn't have both parents in their house, I seen how their life was. How they treated other people, particularly females. Because most of them, they grew up without a father. So a lot of them, very disrespectful to females, So the marriage is the beginning of family, You want a strong family, you got to have man and woman.
I would like that. Oh, go ahead.
In a marriage,
I would like to ask you, so many non-believers, I'm sure you got some Muslims too, believe that it is okay to live with a man and engage in sexual intercourse with a man, and they are not married, and they really believe that that man loves them and respects them, and he uses them as a sexual tool. Why would a woman have that type of mindset to let a man go inside of them and they're not even married to him? Why?
That's
let me ask you, and does that go against the teaching in the Bible? Does it go against the teaching in the Quran and the Torah and the Injil? Does it?
Abundance of police squads and oppressive officials who wield whips the size of the tails of cattle. Men will begin to look like women, and women will begin to look like men.
And there are many signs that should be troubling to people. The Prophet predicted same-sex marriage. That's a sound hadith. He said the end of time will not come until a man marries a man and a woman marries a woman.
Reports today, Ireland became the first country in the world to pass a constitutional referendum allowing same-sex marriage.
This is the moment same-sex supporters...
And we have no evidence in human history that was ever... We have no evidence that any culture has ever sanctioned same-sex marriage. But he said it will be one of the signs of the end of time. He said you will see nikah al-rajul al-rajul, wa nikah al-mar'ati al-mar'a. And nikah here means clearly marriage, because homosexuality existed, so he wasn't talking about homosexuality or musahaqa. He was talking about marriage. He predicted that the buildings of Mecca would surpass the mountains. Who could have thought of that in the 7th century of Arabia? Who could have thought of that? He predicted that people would go out of their houses with things on their thighs that would tell them what was happening back in their families. He said that people would talk to shiraku na'alihi, which in Arabic, shiraku na'al is this. That is what a shiraku na'ali, which is the universal sign today for telephone. And he said a man will talk to his shiraku na'al. That's how people say it, right? The Arabs call that shiraku na'al. The Prophet ﷺ predicted many, many things that have come true. That in the 7th century in Arabia, it just would not have been possible to predict those things, or they wouldn't even occur to people.
The Prophet said, children born outside of marriage will become commonplace.
In Colombia, more than 8 out of every 10 children are born to unwed mothers.
But the actual percent of U.S. births to unmarried women has gone up a lot. 2002, 34% of all births. 2013, 40.6% of all births in the U.S.
In 1960, 5% of children entered the world without a mother and father married to each other. By 1980, it was 18%. By 2000, it had risen to 33%, and 15 years later, the number reached 41%.
The Prophet said, in the end times, obesity would become prevalent.
Well, the explosion of overweight and obese people in the developing world is largely down to the emerging economies, those that have gone through a transition from being low-income economies to middle-income economies in the last generation. And that has produced a large middle class of people who have rising incomes and they can buy the foods they want, and they're undertaking more sedentary lifestyles.
Smog will appear over cities because of the evil that they are doing.
India's second largest city, New Delhi, remains shrouded in dangerously thick smog.
Problem affecting a huge swathe of northern China at the moment, with a pollution cloud hanging over this country from the Russian border in the far northeast all the way down to the central cities.
The Prophet said, great distances will be traversed in short spans of time. And voices will be raised in mosques. Rain will be acidic or burning.
Acid rain is any form of precipitation with high levels of nitric and sulfuric acids. It can occur in the form of snow, fog, and even dry materials that settle to earth. Most acid rain is caused by human activities.
That there will be dishes and they will be communicating constantly, and then people will break the ties of kingship. The word for dishes is literally a dish, and the word that's used now is the word for satellites, and they're dishes and they communicate. Academic journal that says there is a correlation between people sitting at home watching satellite TV and not having communal family ties anymore.
These signs leave absolutely no doubt about the prophethood of Muhammad, may the blessings of Allah be upon him. It's impossible somebody could predict all these signs 1400 years ago, except a prophet of God. These hadith were recorded thousands of years ago, in manuscripts that have been carbon dated back thousands of years by scientists. So nobody can even claim that these signs were made up to fit current events. What these signs also prove is that there is absolutely no doubt left that we are living in the end times. All the minor signs that have been...
Yeah, well, a lot of women, I believe, like that, it's deal with low self-esteem, you know. And some women, they just, I guess they just like, hey, with that legal paper thing, you know, I ain't go with it, because, you know, in Islam, and particularly in this country, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be married like...
You don't go downtown, I know.
You're right. You don't have to get no marriage license or nothing like that. We get married like Allah said, you know. It don't have to be through the court systems like...
Oh, you don't want the kuffar. You don't want the kuffar involved.
You know,
if you can't help, you don't want the kuffar back and telling me good. That's good, but I'm trying to please Allah.
Yeah.
Because you telling me all that. If Allah ain't pleased, all this stuff on earth ain't gonna make no difference anyway.
Right. We gonna leave this place the same way we came.
So you know, you got people with big egos, man. That, oh man, they love me and all that, brother. That don't mean nothing if Allah don't love you.